So today we're going to be going over a new skateboard set that I'm putting together for specifically vert and transition skating. So firstly, I'm going to go through the parts that I bought, and then later on in the video I'll go through the specifics on why I chose those parts. So firstly, I went with a Route 1 branded deck, size 8.75. For the trucks, I went with the 159 Stage 11 Independents. The wheels, Bones SPF 60mm 84B wheels. Bearings, Bronson G3s. I added some Route 1 rails for the deck, and the grip tape I chose was Mob Clear grip tape. I also bought around 200 stickers to go under the grip tape just for aesthetic reasons. There's probably a few people watching wondering why I've bought a whole new setup for vert rather than just skate, the setup that I usually skate. So to give a quick explanation for that, for anyone who doesn't know, is that when you're skating vert and transition, bigger wheels, a bigger deck and bigger trucks are usually needed or usually preferred. Whereas when you're skating street, you want smaller wheels, possibly an 8 or below deck, and obviously smaller trucks to match that deck. But for vert, the main thing you need to remember is that you're trying to maintain your speed at all times. You're not able to push like you are in street. Your speed comes from dropping in and pumping on the transition. So having bigger wheels is going to help you maintain that speed. Having a bigger deck and bigger trucks is going to help you with your stability and hopefully take away any speed wobbles that you may have. So the main things I had in mind when buying the setup was that I wanted a bigger deck than usual. I don't think I've ever had a bigger deck than an 8.5 or an 8.25, and I wanted to go for something that was maybe an 8.75 or even a 9. The deck that I ended up choosing was a Route 1 branded deck, which was a size 8.75. For anyone who doesn't know what Route 1 is a skate supplier in the UK. They make their own line of decks, trucks, wheels and bearings. It's kind of like a budget-friendly alternative to buying, a girl deck or a primitive deck or whatever. But I still trust Route 1 as a brand, that the deck will do the job. The deck won't snap, it won't start chipping from nothing. But ultimately I chose the Route 1 deck because it is cheaper than the bigger brands. It costs about £40, whereas if I went for a girl or a primitive deck, then I'm looking at paying 50, 60, 65 pounds for one of those decks. And I wanted to kind of keep this setup as cheap as possible, since it is only a second setup that I'll be using, not something that I'll be skating all the time. The graphic on the deck is also kind of cool. It's got like the translucent kind of shiny graphic on the bottom, so that was also a bonus, I guess. So for the trucks, I went with independent. I've been skating independent for years, since I was a little kid. And I've probably had around 5 pairs of independents and they've never failed me once. I've always felt they've been a solid truck. I've never had any issues. And I have skated other brands in the past. I've skated Venture, Silver, Intensa. And although they have been good trucks, I remember when I got my first pair of independents, I really enjoyed skating them. So since then, I kind of always stuck with indies, and I probably will always stick with indies from now on. They've also got a pretty good reputation within the vert and transition world, so that's also a good thing. And I went with the 159 Stage 11s because those specifically are the perfect width for an 8.75 deck. So that's why I chose these trucks. So for the wheels, they are the Bones SPF, which means Skate Park Formula, 60mm 84B wheels. I actually bought them last year when I first started skating vert. They're in great condition, there's nothing wrong with them, so I didn't feel like I needed to buy new wheels. I haven't skated them since the start of the year, since all the skate parks closed down, and they've kind of just been sitting in my house, so I felt that I didn't need to buy new wheels. But the reason why I like these wheels are they're 60mm, which is perfect for vert. The bigger the wheel, the faster they're going to be compared to smaller wheels. And they are 84B, which means 84B on the durometer scale. That means that they're incredibly hard wheels, there's no softness to them, and they are very slippy, which is kind of desired within skating vert really. I previously did an in-depth review on these wheels last year. It's actually the first video on my channel, but I'll leave a link in the description or a card up above so you can check them out. But what I would say about these wheels is that they are incredibly slippy on wood. So if you are new to skating or new to skating vert, then I wouldn't suggest going for these wheels or a wheel as hard as these, because I've already had quite a few slams from skating vert on them purely because of how slippy the wheels are. So unless you've got a few years of skating behind you, I wouldn't suggest going for wheels as hard as these. But if you're someone, you know, who has experience, then these wheels are great. The size of the wheels, 60mm, is perfect, like I said. The hardness of the wheels means that they're as fast as any wheels you're going to find out there for transition skating. The bearings that I went for are Bronson G3s. I actually bought these last year with the wheels. They've done me pretty well. I haven't had them out in the rain. I haven't been skating stair sets with them, so they're in great condition. I didn't feel like I needed to replace them right now. What I would say though is I bought these for about £30 last year, and usually I skate Bones Reds. But because of the good reviews I saw of the Bronsons online, I thought I'd figure I'd try them out, and they've been good. I've had no issues with them. But what I would say is that comparing them to the Bones Reds, I really can't tell the difference. They're probably the exact same, whereas the Bronsons are £10 more. So if you want a bit of a cheaper alternative, the Bones Reds will do just fine. I also decided to buy rails for my deck on this setup. The video I did previously to this one actually goes in depth on rails, what they are for, the history of rails. So if you want to check that out, I'll also put it in the description or a card above. But to give a short description of them as to why I bought them for this setup, rails make it slightly easier to grab the board. It gives you something else to grab onto, and that was the absolute main reason I bought them. They also protect your graphic a little bit more and help you board slide. So, you know, if you feel that's beneficial to you, then I would go ahead and buy some, but end of the day, it's just preference. You don't have to skate rails and vert. For the grip tape, I went with clear Mob grip tape. The two options I had really were Mob or Jessops. Mob, in my opinion, is a bit more grippy than Jessops, whereas Jessops is a little more shoe friendly. And the main thing here is that I'm not going to be doing kick flips or 360 flips when I'm skating this setup, so I don't really care about the potential of ripping my shoe with Mob grip tape because I'm not going to be doing any flip tricks. But I would prefer to have grippier grip tape when skating vert, just purely for my feet on the board. So that is why I went with Mob over Jessops for this setup. Usually I do skate Jessops just to kind of save my shoes a little bit more. I chose clear grip tape just because I wanted to kind of put some stickers underneath it and give my board a bit more of an aesthetic look. Usually I just kind of put the grip tape on and leave it plain, I don't really care, but I wanted to do something a little bit different this time around with this board compared to my street board, which is just grip tape and nothing on it really. So that's pretty much my vert setup. I've compared it to my street board. The main thing that I noticed straight away is that the street board is incredibly light compared to the vert board. The vert board is very heavy. Obviously you've got bigger wheels, wider trucks, wider decks, so it is going to be far heavier. But I already feel that the vert setup is going to be a lot more stable at fast speeds. So there are obviously two skateboard setups with two very different things, which is why I bought it in the first place. Hopefully in the next few days I'm going to go to my local park and give the vert setup a little try, give it a little test, and then kind of give my final thoughts on the setup. So yeah, we'll just see how it goes. So I can only tell that the board feels far more solid and like far more safe is the only word I can kind of describe it as. It just feels like a lot more, a lot fuller under my feet, which is always a good thing on Vert. I've had some pretty harsh speed wobbles already though. Feel a little unconfident at the minute. Obviously it's been like 6, 7, 8 months maybe since I skated Vert. It's lockdown. Actually I didn't skate Vert for about 2 months before lockdown anyway because I busted my hand. It's just going to take a little while to get back into it, but with the skateboard it should speed things up a little bit I think. So. I really underestimated how heavy this deck is. Just like fakie ollies, you feel the weight of it under your feet. And like popping just an ollie fakie on the Vert, I'm struggling to even hit the tail on the ramp. Like I'm doing like them little mani air ollie things. So I think it's actually just going to take a little while to get used to this board, longer than I thought. It's just like a totally different thing to a street board, I guess. I've had about an hour on the Vert ramp. I'm probably not going to skate anymore because I feel like I've kind of I want to kind of take it slow. Like I said, it's been a while since I've been on Vert. I don't want to rush into things and injure myself. There's no way I'm going to get a frontside air. That was like far too premature to even try that. So I'm just going to keep it as it is, and then just going to stick to pumping up and down the ramp for now and getting the feel for this board, where the bushing's in, and then probably come back to it next week. Hope you enjoyed the video. See you in the next one.